Hey everyone, welcome to Live's The Download. I'm Denny Directo, joined by Malicia Johnson today. And last night, y'all, we got to see the women of The Bachelor reunite, and a lot went down during Women
Mhm.
Tell All. And joining us to get into it all is Bachelorette alum and professional wrestler, Mr. Kenny King. Kenny, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Kenny.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
All right, let's get right into it because we were talking about like it was hard to keep track of all the things that went down during Women Tell All. But let's start with the disclaimer that ABC had at the top of the show. This special was previously taped on February 4th. So obviously before Chris Harrison's controversial interview with Rachel Lindsay and before he announced that he would be stepping down and not hosting after the final rose. So to make sure there wasn't any confusion in Bachelor Nation, they let us know that this was pre-taped. But a lot of fans felt that Chris's comments and jokes didn't age well since the taping. For example, at the end of the episode, he says, "I hope we can all be together soon." Kenny, I got to get your reaction to this. I mean, did you also, I don't know, Phil, did you cringe a little when you watched and heard comments like that last night?
I think it's because of comments like that is why they kind of did the little CYA, put the post date on it because they just want to make sure that I think that's just a little separation from themselves and Chris Harrison and who knows what that leads to. But I think that all of those things kind of are stepping in that direction.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, I'm not sure if you guys can understand where I'm coming from, but I was looking super hard at every single thing last night, more than I usually would. And that made it even more cringe worthy. I was thinking, there are a lot of things that might be a little problematic when it comes to these tell alls. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Denny?
Well, it's true. I feel like the entire season, knowing what's going on in the headlines and outside of the actual show, everything that airs though, even though it was previously taped, is now under a microscope, you know? But I feel
Yes.
like that's why for the Women Tell All, you kind of sensed a specific theme, and there was a lot to do that had a lot to do with bullying. I feel like there's a
Yes.
low tolerance for everything, but the whole night I think was dedicated to that.
For sure. And there were a lot of apologies, including
Mhm.
Anna's apology to Brittany after she spread a rumor in the house that Brittany was an escort. Now, at first, Brittany was not really going for Anna's apology. She said that she's had an ample amount of time to reach out to her while those episodes were airing, and she didn't. So she chose to apologize at the tell all. And Anna admitted to doing wrong and she admitted to feeling guilty. And, she said that she had some insecurities that made her say those things about Brittany. Eventually, Brittany came around at the end and she said, we all make mistakes and say things we don't mean. And ultimately, she just wants everyone to back off and stop hating on Anna. There was something else that she said that, I thought was interesting. She showed support for escort workers. She said,
Mm.
those people who choose to take on that job to make money, they deserve love as well. So I was like, that's a good point, Brittany. But I want to talk to you, Kenny, about Anna's apology from a man's perspective. I know us women, we can see through things woman to woman, but from a man's perspective, do you think Anna's apology was genuine?
Well, it did strike me as strange that she hadn't reached out to Brittany at all throughout the whole process. But as you kind of got to listening to her and watching her body language, I got the feeling that she realized, especially people don't realize that after the show's actually airing, how much just the smallest thing and how much people read in the internet can blow the smallest things up, let alone the biggest things up. So I think that she saw a glimpse of kind of that how that happened to Brittany, and I really felt that she was remorseful and genuine in her apology. And props to Brittany because you could see there was a little bit of growth there too, where she had to look
Yes.
inside herself and see a part where, well, I might have done something. I've got. I think she said something along the lines of, "Well, I've said things that have hurt people, and I
Mm-hmm.
wish I could take that back." So,
Yeah.
she, that just shows a little bit of growth when her being able to at least sympathize with Hannah and put herself in those shoes.
I
Yeah.
think it was also important for Anna to be held accountable, but also to reflect on her own actions, which I think she probably did more than anyone else who was in the hot seat that night. Granted, I think it was being called into question whether she was being very genuine with her apology because she hadn't said anything until the women tell all. But I can tell that she realized just the consequences that her comments had on both of their lives. But it wasn't just Anna; it was also Katie who was under fire for bringing up toxicity to Matt during the show, and she defended her reasonings. Let's take a look.
I didn't look at it as a way to help my relationship with him. I was just being who I believe I am. I am very outspoken. I'm going to speak my mind. And for me, it was just kind of like my last straw. We have to live in this house for up to 2 months. And what I was experiencing personally, it sucked. And so for me, I felt like I owed it to Matt and to myself and to the environment to let him know my opinions.
I was
Yes,
kind of shocked
Katie.
that, right? You better preach, Katie. I was kind of surprised at how hard they were going for her. The women had problem with Katie's honesty. They blamed her for this domino effect it had in the house as far as the drama is concerned. I mean, what did you make of this? And did you agree, Kenny?
I think that you can kind of trace that back to every season of The Bachelor, where there's somebody who, for whatever reasons, decided it's their business to let the lead know some of the things that are going on in the house, and
Hmm.
let them know, oh, just my genuine honesty. And some people genuinely have it uh, in their hearts that they want to just be honest about the things that are going on in the house, and other people are playing the game. So it's really up to Katie to determine whether she was really just trying to make sure Matt was protected, or if she was just trying to throw shade on the contestants. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
it's
I think Oh,
go for it,
well,
Mel.
I think it was more so about creating a safe environment in the house because
Yes.
we've learned Katie's personality, and I don't think she does anything out of malicious intent. I feel as if the other ladies, the way they approached it was a bit elementary. They were saying like, "You shouldn't have told on us," and it's kind of like, "Well, you shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't
Right.
have been causing all of this toxicity."
It goes down to that. I agree with you there, but we do have to move on quickly. ET spoke with Serena P this morning, actually, who, of course, reunited with Matt for the first time after she decided to abruptly exit the show. But today, Serena opened up to us about where she stands on the recent controversy surrounding the franchise and says she continues to stand by Rachel Lindsay.
I do not condone or support racism whatsoever. I am continuing my education and doing my best to become anti racist as one of the women of color and one of the women from this cast, which is incredibly diverse. We were very proud to stand in unity with Rachel Lindsay. Watching the interview was extremely upsetting, and she conducted herself with class and professionalism. It's shed a lot of light on issues in the franchise and beyond the franchise. And I think all I can do is hope for change and education.
Mm.
That was
Mel,
so well said. So well
yeah.
said. Well, speaking of Rachel, she deactivated her Instagram following her headline making interview with Chris Harrison. Rachel is also taking a break from her Bachelor Happy Hour podcast, and she explained why on her other podcast, Higher Learning with Van Lathan.
I woke up, I looked at my phone, one of the first things, I saw something negative and I said, you know what? Not today, not even
Wow.
this weekend. And currently still not now because I'm still I'm still disabled. It was the best decision that I could do for myself to detach from that negativity. I needed that. I feel so much better. I'm not 100%, but I feel lighter.
I don't blame
Mm.
her. I don't
I
blame
don't
her.
either. I don't either. On Monday, the Bachelor producers released a statement following Rachel's decision to deactivate her account. They shared this on Instagram before the show aired last night, saying in part, quote, Rachel has received an unimaginable amount of hate and has been subjected to severe online bullying, which more than often has been rooted in racism. That is totally unacceptable. Rachel has been an incredible advocate for our cast, and we are grateful that she has worked tirelessly towards racial equity and inclusion. Kenny, you were a part of Rachel's season. You've spent a lot of time with her. What are your thoughts on this?
I I have nothing but the most respect for Rachel. I thought many times about what it must have been like for Rachel to what she must have went through being the very first Black Bachelorette, and all of the pressures that she had, and all of the And then even to go through all of that, right, and then still be who she was, still be genuine,
Mhm.
still be thoroughly Rachel, still stand on her square and her morals, and find who she wanted to love, despite I'm sure the pressure that she felt that she had to find a black man on that show. She
Hmm.
stood with who she wanted to be with. She fell in love with Brian. She married Brian, and I have nothing but respect for her for that. And I feel like the the executive producer statement is great, but it's one of those things. I feel like Rachel has never really gotten her just due as far as a bachelorette in the franchise is concerned. I feel like more people came to, and I'm gonna rip off an old scab, but I feel like more people came to Corinne's defense in the situation with Demario than is coming to Rachel's defense, and Rachel didn't do anything. Rachel just
Mm.
conducted an interview and allowed someone to more or less tell on themselves. So it's unfortunate that she has received the amount of negative reaction that she felt like she would have to deactivate her Instagram. But I don't really feel like that's going to phase her too much. Um, I know she knows who she is as a core person, and the people who follow and love Rachel are going to rally behind her.
Yeah, it is, disheartening to know that Rachel has been at the center of so much negativity and hate online, especially when she has taken on the responsibility herself to have these important conversations about diversity and inclusion on The Bachelor many, many times, and it's a
Mhm.
conversation obviously that we didn't get during Women Tell All on Monday because it was previously taped before Rachel Kirk and Now controversy, before that Chris Harrison interview with Rachel. Here's hoping it happens on After the Final Rose, which will now be hosted by Emmanuel Acho. They made that announcement over the weekend. He'll be stepping in for After the Final Rose. A source tells ET that Emmanuel is very excited. He feels confident about replacing Chris for the episode and believes he can lead important conversations that the viewers should learn about and be part of. Meanwhile, Chris and his team, according to our source, are concerned about this ordeal and the changes that are occurring, and they are trying to figure out his next move. Kenny, knowing that Emmanuel will be hosting the After the Final Rose special, how do you think they will address the recent controversies and the racial issues? And do you think they will dedicate enough time to the topic?
Well, uh, I think you can look at it like this, right? You can look at the Bachelor Nation almost like a microcosm for the United States, right? We have there's been lots of strides made and lots of great things have happened, but in the end, we still just have lots more to go. So I believe that Emmanuel is a great choice. I believe that Emmanuel has already proven that he can lead tough conversations. I believe that he's proven that he has the fair mindedness to speak to both sides of a topic and intelligently enough and coherently enough to where people, even though if they may not agree, they can understand. And I think that's kind of what we're looking for right now is someone to kind of maybe look at what's been happening, why it hasn't been okay, and what we can do to make sure that everybody who loves this franchise and loves the idea of what we've been doing here can continue to be involved in it, continue to go, move forward in it, and feel represented because representation is very important.
Yeah, and progress comes from huge challenges at times. And now with Emmanuel having this conversation on The Bachelor, that's something I probably would have never imagined a few years back, but it is necessary. So I'm glad we're at this point. But Kenny, I have to ask you, you've experienced a racial dispute with a fellow contestant on The Bachelorette yourself, Lee Garrett. He referred to you as a pretty boy pit bull and he called you aggressive. So now that you're still seeing these issues with racism arise years later, how has this influenced your views on the franchise?
Well, to be fair, the Pretty Boy Pitbull is my wrestling nickname, so he can call me that. That's fine. But regarding the whole Lee situation, I mean, and the more I sit back and I think about it, uh, I was just gonna come back to one question. Why was he here? Why was Lee even there? I don't believe that Lee was in the same league as a lot of the guys, or even there, or even right for Rachel. So it becomes a production issue. Why was Lee there? And so if you go back to my men tell all, we had one of these moments already. We had this moment where there was 7 or 8 very, very intelligent men on stage giving a teaching moment, providing talking points, providing learnable, teachable moments to lead, to Chris, to anybody who would listen about why some of these things are unacceptable. And here we are 3 years later, still kind of dealing with the same thing. So it, it's just going to take the commitment. I feel it's going to take people to
Yeah.
commit to making this a part of, a part of the Bachelor franchise, a part of their everyday life, and having these hard talks and having these hard conversations. And the more that we do it, I think the easier it becomes.
As
Yeah.
far as where the franchise goes from here, do you feel like they should replace Chris Harrison, and who should that be? Should it be Rachel Lindsay?
Um, I feel like at some point we're gonna have to come back and revisit this and just kind of assess like what do we do from here. I don't know if there's a lot of people who feel like Chris should be the face of the franchise. There's a lot of people who feel like he shouldn't. So it's going to take somebody who is understanding and sensitive to these issues, and just has a real understanding of where it's broken and what we need to do to fix it. And I think that when you find who that is, I feel like you'll have a happy medium um, for Bachelor Nation. And who knows? He might be your friendly neighborhood pro wrestler.
Well said. Real quick, we have to congratulate you because you are engaged, my friend. Your
Yes.
fiance, London, beautiful family. I mean, do you feel like your journey on the show influenced your mindset of dating after you left in terms of like what you were looking for?
Well, it absolutely did. When you put yourself out there like that, you have to be focused and you have to be honest with yourself about what it is that you want. So, I mean, we reconnected. I think it was 3 or 4 days after I got home from Paradise. So I was in the
Yeah.
mindset of knowing who I wanted, uh, and what just how she would fit into my life, and I was cultivating her in the universe, and then on Paradise, I guess. And as soon as I got home, she showed up.
Woo,
Well,
that's
she
how
is
it's done.
beautiful, and you two have a beautiful blended family too.
Yes,
Thank you so
congratulations.
much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kenny King, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your insight on all things Bachelor. Hopefully, you can come back with us and talk some more later in the season.